All right, folks, today we will be talking about Destiny reacting to Hasan Piker reacting to George Carlin. And then Destiny flipping Carlin's own words back at Hasan like some kind of rhetorical judo move.
Here, I'll end it on this note, this beautiful note that I think many, even reactionaries, agree with. Here.
You said he disagreed with it being only for non-state actors. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Force? Smug, greedy, well-fed white people have invented a language to conceal their sins. It's as simple as that. The CIA doesn't kill anybody anymore. They neutralize people. Or they depopulate the area. The government doesn't lie. It engages in disinformation. The Pentagon actually measures nuclear radiation in something they call sunshine units. Israelis are called commandos. Arab commandos are called freedom fighters. Well, if crime fighters fight crime and firefighters fight fire, what do freedom fighters fight?
Yeah. Like, it's so funny because this whole criticism maps directly onto what Hasan is saying. Like, Hamas isn't a de facto administrator / government / military of a region. It's just a name. Or October 7th wasn't a first attack. It was just an uprising. Or, you know, there weren't mass rapes or anything that happened on October 7th. Some people just happened to get by non-militant fighters who just came across the border. Or, like, you could say the same, like, the Houthis are, they're just freedom fighters for, well, not for all of Yemen, but for whatever interest Hasan says that they even represent. I don't even know, you know. These people they just haven't had time to discover wokeness yet because of all the U.S. bombs. Like, it's the...
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Asmus Chat thinks Carlin is right wing and love him. Yeah, that's why I showed George Carlin. A lot of right wing people think, you know, think George Carlin is right wing. Yeah, Palestinian hostages are called prisoners. Israeli hostages are called hostages. This designation still exists.
I love fighting
over... shooting on Trump's Gaza plan? Yeah, I saw
Gaza that he's got going on.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Build a Trump property.
I'm going to pee real...
Based.
Destiny's sitting there, probably in his minimalist streaming setup, sipping on some overpriced energy drink, while Hasan across the internet ether, rocking his signature beard and flannel combo, pontificating about the world. And then enter George Carlin, comedy legend, linguistic assassin, the guy who could make you laugh while simultaneously dismantling your entire worldview. Destiny catches a clip of Hasan reacting to Carlin, and instead of just nodding along like a good little progressive, he decides to weaponize Carlin's own brilliance against Hasan. It's like watching a chess grandmaster checkmate someone with their own pawn. Beautiful, chaotic, hilarious. So Hasan's out here vibing to Carlin, probably nodding along like, yeah, man, this guy gets it. The system's rigged, language is a tool of the oppressors, blah, blah, blah. And Destiny's like, hold up, fam, let me hit the rewind button and show you how this actually applies to you. It's peak internet drama, and I'm here for it like, where's my lawn chair and my bag of Cheetos? This is prime entertainment. The clip in question has Carlin doing what Carlin does best, shredding the sanitized language of power. He's talking about how smug, greedy, well-fed white people invented a whole vocabulary to dodge accountability. The CIA doesn't kill anymore, they neutralize. The Pentagon doesn't measure radiation in scary terms, they call it sunshine units. It's dark, it's funny, and it's dripping with that classic Carlin cynicism. Hasan's eating it up, probably using it to dunk on capitalism or imperialism or whatever his flavor of the day is. But then Destiny swoops in like, oh, you like that? Let's flip it. Destiny's angle. He's saying Hasan's doing the exact same thing Carlin's roasting. Like, Hasan's out here calling Hamas freedom fighters or framing October 7th as some kind of spontaneous uprising. And Destiny's like, bro, you're literally proving Carlin's point. You're dressing up messy, violent reality in these noble-sounding buzzwords to make it palatable. It's savage. It's like Destiny took Carlin's script, swapped out a few nouns, and handed it back to Hasan with a smug little bow on top. Let's pause for a sec and just appreciate the layers here. This isn't just a Twitch beef, it's a philosophical cage match with a dead comedian as the ref. Carlin's whole bit was about how language gets hijacked to obscure the truth, right? Like, freedom fighters sounds dope until you ask, fighting for whose freedom exactly? Destiny's basically accusing Hasan of playing that game, of taking gritty, complicated stuff, Like, say, a militant group or a border skirmish, and slapping a shiny label on it to fit his narrative. Meanwhile, Hasan's probably over there like, nah man, I'm just keeping it real, exposing the imperialist lies. And I'm just sitting here cackling, because it's like watching two dudes argue over who gets to hold the moral high ground while Carlin's ghost is in the corner, shaking his head. Now, if I'm channeling my inner dogma here, I gotta say, this whole thing is peak internet absurdity. Like, imagine explaining this to someone 10 years ago. Yeah, so there's this clip of a guy reacting to a dead comedian, and they're fighting over who's more woke using words from 1990. They'd look at you like you just grew a second head. But here we are in 2025, and this is what passes for discourse. I love it. It's dumb, it's messy, and it's got more twists than a pretzel factory. Let's zoom in on Destiny's play, though, because it's honestly kind of genius. He's not just dunking on Hasan, he's using Carlin's own logic to do it. Take the freedom fighters line. Carlin's out here like, if crime fighters fight crime and firefighters fight fire, what do freedom fighters fight? It's a banger of a question, dripping with sarcasm, and Destiny's like, yeah, Hasan, what are they fighting? Because it sure ain't freedom for everybody. He's pointing at stuff like Hamas, or whatever group Hasan's standing that weak and going, you're doing the euphemism dance, my guy. You're the Pentagon with your own little sunshine units. And then there's the hostage bit. Oh man, this is where it gets spicy. Destiny's like, Palestinian hostages are prisoners, Israeli hostages are hostages. Funny how that works. He's calling out the double standard, the way language shifts depending on who's got the sympathy card in the narrative. It's classic Carlin territory, poking holes in the hypocrisy of how we talk about conflict, and Destiny's wielding it like a flamethrower. Hasan's probably fuming like, that's not what I meant, you debate bro edgelord. But the damage is done. The chat's going wild, the clips are getting posted, and somewhere in the afterlife, Carlin's probably toasting with a whiskey like, didn't see that one coming. But real talk, there's something kinda poetic about this mess. Destiny's not wrong that Hasan's playing the language game. Like calling October 7th an uprising instead of, I dunno, a coordinated attack. That's straight out of the Carlin playbook. Soften the edges, make it sound noble, dodge the ugly bits. And Hasan's whole vibe, this righteous, I'm speaking truth to power shtick, does kinda clash with the way he frames stuff sometimes. But on the flip side, Hasan could easily fire back and say Destiny's just cherry-picking to score points, ignoring the bigger picture of oppression or whatever. It's a stalemate where both sides think they're the ones channeling Carlin's spirit. And that's the kicker, right? George Carlin's this universal weapon. Leftists love him because he hated corporations and war. Right-wingers love him because he trashed political correctness and bureaucrats. Destiny's even got a line in there like, a lot of right-wing people think Carlin's right-wing, which is true. Go scroll X for 5 minutes, and you'll see some dude with a Gadsden flag avatar quoting Carlin like he's their patron saint. Everyone wants a piece of him because he was so good at calling out BS, no matter where it came from. Destiny's just the mad lad who decided to use that against Hasan in real time. But let's dig deeper, because there's meat on these bones. Destiny's whole move here is about exposing what he sees as Hasan's hypocrisy, or at least his blind spots. Like, Hasan's all about dismantling power structures, right? He's the guy who'll spend an hour breaking down why billionaires suck or why the US military's a machine of endless war. Fair enough. But then Destiny's like, okay, cool, but why do you get a pass when you pull the same linguistic tricks you hate? It's a solid jab. Hasan's framing of freedom fighters or uprisings does kinda mirror the sanitized jargon Carlin mocked, like, it's not depopulating an area, it's neutralizing a threat. Same energy, different team. Hasan could counter, though, and he probably did, knowing him, that Destiny's just playing gotcha instead of engaging with the root issues. Like, yeah, maybe freedom fighters is a loaded term, but isn't the real problem the decades of conflict, the blockades, the bombs? Hasan's not wrong that context matters. Destiny's not wrong that words matter. And Carlin, he's just laughing at both of them because he'd probably say they're both full of it in their own way. And honestly, that's what makes this whole Destiny-Hasan showdown so juicy. It's not just about who's right or wrong, it's about how everyone's trying to claim the moral high ground while standing in the same mud. Destiny's flexing his debate skills, Hasan's flexing his progressive cred, and neither of them can fully escape the trap Carlin laid out. Language is a weapon, and we're all wielding it, whether we admit it or not. Let's circle back to the hostages bit, because that's where the rubber really meets the road. Destiny's pointing out this designation game, Palestinian prisoners versus Israeli hostages, and it's a mic drop moment. It's not about who's good or bad, it's about how the labels shift depending on who's telling the story. Hasan might argue it's justified because of power dynamics or history or whatever, but Destiny's like, nah, you don't get to dodge the critique just because your heart's in the right place. It's brutal, and it's exactly the kind of thing Carlin lived for, cutting through the spin to show the gears underneath. So where does that leave us? With a glorious mess, that's where. Destiny landed some solid hits. Hasan's probably still got a loyal army ready to die on his hill, and the internet keeps spinning.